Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Good afternoon, San Diego marketers. You're listening to another episode of This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter, and as always, powered by WS Radio. This is your host, Kevin Svek, and in the studio today, I've got Jason Bynum of EI Empire Imports. Jason, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and everything you do?
So I am the marketing director for Empire Imports. We specialize in vapor e-cigarette products. Generally, we're actually starting to move towards different avenues right now with all these laws going about. But yeah, mainly I'm doing the website design, reaching out to customers, kind of seeing what they're looking at, getting a feel for the market and things like that. Kind of wear a lot of hats here right now.
Very cool, very cool. So how long have you been in the vape industry? I feel like the vape industry really kicked off maybe 10, 15 years ago.
So myself, I've only been in the industry for about 2 years. The owner, he has been selling, I believe, for about 8 years now. He's been technically in business for 8 years, but he's been selling since its beginning.
Interesting. So based on your knowledge, how has this industry progressed over the years?
In a lot of good ways, I would say, more positive ways than anything. And especially when I remember when I was beginning to vape, I was very nervous about popcorn lung, seeing all the news articles about batteries exploding, a bunch of safety issues, but that was because people were using unregulated devices. You had to be very technical to understand what you're using, and now it's pretty much anybody can pick up a device and use it and start their transition from cigarettes like with no problem at all, no hassle or anything.
Interesting. So I think based on what I'm seeing, I feel like the tobacco industry, I mean, this might just be the conspiracy theorist in me, the small little conspiracy theorist in the back of my mind, but it seems like the tobacco industry is trying to push out some information to discredit the whole vaping industry. Do you think that's true as an insider?
It seemed that way for a while. If you kind of follow the money is what seems to be the mantra in this industry. They were against vaping in the beginning, trying to get bans here, left and right. They have so much money so they can control what goes out there and what kind of news is framed in a certain way. And it would really look like it. I mean, you can't confirm it, obviously. And then what's strange is they decided to invest in a Juul, which is actually smart because, there's a lot of money in the e-cig industry, and it would take over traditional combustible tobacco if given the chance. But, lately it seems that, I don't know if you've heard of the PMTA, but the first products that were accepted in the PMTA were all from like Swedish Match and Philip Morris, which seems very strange, but it's going to be this next year. We're really going to find out which of these hundreds and hundreds of e-cigarette brands will actually make it. And that'll be pretty much a full tell of who's controlling it all,
So just to backtrack for a little bit, I think it's fair to say there's a lot of anti-vaping marketing out there these days. And I think over the past maybe 5 to 10 years, there's been sort of a stigma that's come out of it, similar to the stigma behind cigarettes, but obviously not that extreme. I'm curious to know, what are some of the ways you've gone against these stigmas to market your products?
The main one is no 21, no unless they're 21. So mainly in the U.S. at least, the problem seems to be around teen vaping. I've looked at every single law trying to go into effect, being passed in California, Michigan, Connecticut, and federally, and they all seem to be centered around youth vaping, which obviously is a problem. I mean, the numbers don't lie, but I think it's mainly on the juice brands more than anything. So we're working with them, but they're definitely saying giving shops cards, stickers, pretty much anything to put on their shop to let you know if you're not 21, you shouldn't even be in here, or like whatever the legal age is within that state. In California, where we're at, it's 21. But we're mainly targeting that part. We don't have any foot in kind of like paid advertising and social media and stuff. So we'll post products, but only to I personally monitor who's following us and on social media like Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. So you can kind of see, at least by the profile picture, if they at least look 25 or so. But it's pretty hard. But generally, we're just targeting. We're trying to backtrack and go against what that whole stigma of youth being a problem, which I totally agree is a problem. But people seem to think that we are engaged in predatory marketing, which couldn't be anything farther from the truth.
Mm-hmm. So have a lot of states switched from 18 to 21 to buy vape products?
Yeah, actually, I just read today that even I think it was New York, they're actually looking to go to 25, which
oh wow,
I don't understand. I don't know where they got that number from, but
that's quite a jump.
I think it's a pretty big jump. And the person who made the bill, his argument was that person, at least from what I understand, it's a male's brain, but overall a human's brain doesn't develop till they're 25, so they can't make their own decisions until they're 25, I guess. But
seems a little extreme.
Yeah, I would say so too. But I think the main problem is where the underage kids are getting a hold of these products in the first place. I don't think it's that the product's available. I think it's how are they getting it and who's selling it to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got to think like a 25-year-old is probably a lot less likely to sell to an 18-year-old, whereas a 21-year-old, it wouldn't be that big of a jump.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Yeah. I mean, you got to think if a 25-year-old selling a tobacco product or a vaping product to someone who's under 18 it's pretty unlikely, whereas someone who's 21 selling to an underage person, that happens all the time.
That I couldn't speak on, but that would make sense. Like they might have a friend.
Yeah, that might be their
age,
logic.
Guess,
That makes sense. Just trying to see it from their point of view. So anyway, I want to get back on track and talk about. You mentioned regulations that impact marketing in this industry. What are some of the big ones? I mean, other than the 21 ordinance.
So the biggest one that's been delayed continually until September 9th is the PMTA, and that one is pretty much any company that wants to be able to sell their vapor products or e-cigarette products has to make an application to the FDA. The PMTA stands for Pre-Market Tobacco Application, so they have to prove that they're pretty much good for the population, I guess, to put it simply. But they just have to remove any kind of indication as far as, like, if you have a candy-flavored vape, it really can't have any candy indication, or you really can't have any fruits on there. Pretty much has to just say cut and dry what flavor it is. If it's blue raspberry, then it has to say blue raspberry, but it can't have any kind of pictures on it. Even hardware products, I don't even know how they deem what's allowed to be sold as a hardware product. I guess the safest products will pass. But there's that. There's California. We're experiencing January 1st a full-out flavor ban in California. So anything flavored besides tobacco and mint, they'll be gone. So we're going to be seeing hundreds of vape shops in California be closing, unfortunately, and that's starting to gain traction everywhere. Yeah, it's a very sad sight to see a lot of family businesses, small businesses going under because of one single ban, unfortunately.
Oh wow! So, what are some of the rationales for for banning flavors?
Though the flavors attract kids was their I guess their rationale. And even though I personally like candy flavors, I still eat candy. I know it's not good for me, but I'll enjoy it every now and then. But that's their rationale is e-cigarettes are attracting youth more than they're helping adults quit cigarettes, which I don't know. I mean, I disagree personally, but that's also I'm in the industry, so it's kind of hard to believe me, I guess. But I have this argument with my brother all the time because I have a nephew and that's his son. He's about 15. I would never tell him to vape. I usually just tell people who are currently smoking to switch over to vape. I never encourage anybody to start vaping out of nowhere. But that's like I said before. Pretty much, it's all literally the entire campaign for any campaign you'll see in the U.S. for any state, any governor, any official. It's going to be about e-cigarette use. That's the only argument against e-cigarettes.
And yeah, going back to our conspiracy, or my slight conspiracy, maybe this is the tobacco lobbyists having their say in it. But you never know about that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I don't normally like to buy into conspiracy theories, but I kind of like to entertain them, think about them for a little bit. Just a little disclaimer out there.
Yeah, what's like because in California, the officials, they bought bonds in tobacco. I don't remember how long ago, and then those have depreciated since cigarettes have hit the market, and California probably has a lot of money in that and wants to get their money back, so they want people to switch back over. That's another possibility.
Yeah, you never know. That's money definitely talks, at least in United States governments.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, so I know you had mentioned that some of the major arguments against it that you don't personally believe. What are some of the other major myths you see out there regarding vape products in general?
It's mainly the youth flavors, popcorn lung. That was actually when I started vaping too. I was seeing a lot of attention around people getting popcorn lung. Because what they used to do is use a flavor additive in certain vape juices called diacetyl, and that gave it that was added to certain, I think, like desserty flavors. And if you inhale enough of that, it'll like cause lesions in your stomach or your lungs. Excuse me. And
is that what popcorn lung is?
Yeah, exactly. That popcorn lung, and that. Pretty much every company, as soon as they heard of that, they all removed that from their products. Any brand you'll see on any shelf that's not a black market vape juice, which I don't even know if is a thing yet, none of them will contain that. So it's not a problem, but seems to keep being referenced in news articles that are even brought up throughout 2020. But yeah, it was mainly the youth, and then the popcorn lung, and then that THC thing. It's funny how. That's a marketing tactic for the news. They'll frame vaping deaths, lung illnesses, and things like that, because they'll say vape, so they'll associate THC cartridges with the same thing as like a regular e-cigarette vape, and they'll just do it. It's called like a blanket statement, and then that kind of we take the brunt of all that, while everything like regular tobacco companies don't have to deal with a single thing about it. I mean, it's not good that these kids are doing those illegal products, which I again think, how and why are they getting access to these illegal products, and how do we stop it? But we need to have a discussion about that.
It's always tough to hold the youth back, though. They'll find a way.
Yeah, I know they're.
Unfortunately, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I want to go back, talk a little bit more about the history of vaping. Because I remember the first time I ever saw a vape, it was in a mall kiosk. I think it was actually at the Mall of America, and this was maybe like 15 years ago, like a long time ago. And I just remember it being the coolest thing ever, and it was just like, there was no stigma about vaping. It was just this shiny new thing. It's just like, oh my God, this is this amazing water vapor alternative to cigarettes. And like we just talked about, there's been a lot of arguments against it. There's been some research. There's been some consequences that have happened. Do you think with all this stuff and all this new research, especially and how the negative research gets promoted, would you say the heyday of vape marketing is past? Or would you say, do you see new opportunities on the horizon?
No, I would actually say marketing is kind of... it's kind of reached its pinnacle about maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I think that was when it was more of a hobby. People could go to vape shops and sample products and hang out and actually talk and try new juices, new flavors, and it was more of like a lounge than anything. But now it's just turned into like a simple product that you like. I don't know if you've heard of disposable vapes like puff bars. That seems to be a very popular one. Those are just you take them anywhere you go. There's really no work or customization to it. You pay about $10, use it up, throw it away, and buy another one. And it's more of a, I guess you could call it a lazy vape. And not so much as you can't really have a conversation about making your own stuff or making your own juice or building your own coils and things like that. It's not so much of a hobby anymore. And I think that was that was the best time to market it, is the whole lifestyle of it. Now it's pretty much gone, and it's just it's just turned into what it is now.
Yeah. So apart from like the regulations and sort of this negative marketing that's come across the vape industry, what are some of the biggest challenges in marketing these products?
I would say there's a lot. Of course, we can't do any paid advertising through Google, Facebook. Yeah, any of those. You really have to be extremely considerate with each post or each email you put out there. I would say that's the biggest challenge in finding. You have to really be experimental in where you go, because for a normal company that's not considered a device product, you could pretty much pay to win. You can pay a couple $100,000, put yourself all over YouTube and Facebook and all this social media. You'll get attention regardless. Like, you don't even really have to try that hard. But for us, we really have to figure out how do we differentiate ourselves from every other shop, all the hundreds of shops online, thousands even. And it's an everyday struggle pretty much.
Yeah, so what are some of the biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to marketing in the vape world?
Biggest do's, I would say, is transparency, showing your customers that, you're 100% legitimate. You don't supply fakes. You go directly from the manufacturers. Mainly that, and people want to see reviews and they want to know that you're legitimate, so they'll go on Reddit and things like that. But and then the major don'ts would just be, don't have anything that could be construed as targeting towards youth, of course. I hate how the conversations usually end up going back to youth, but I mean, it's just it has to be there. That's kind of the climate we're in right now.
Interesting. So I want to backtrack a little bit. You said it's good to go on Reddit and just to kind of get some credibility and reviews up. Is Reddit like a really powerful channel in the vape marketing industry?
It used to be. Like when vaping was a hobby. Now you'll just see, even we had a post originally that was our retail shop. Somebody asked, "Hey, is Vapor Empire legit? Are they real?" And there would be a thread of people kind of saying, "I don't know, I see them. They don't accept PayPal, so I don't know if I want to go to them. That's kind of a bad sign." I would say it's a really good tool because it kind of made us consider, we didn't realize that, because you don't know how everybody shops, and generally word of mouth is a very, very powerful tool. And Reddit hasn't been as powerful as we have thought, but surprisingly Facebook, the majority of our users use Facebook over anything else.
So would you say Facebook is your most powerful channel?
Yeah.
Or which other ones factor in? Is it just mostly Facebook and SEO? Right now, because we're kind of in the infancy of our retail site, definitely just SEO backlinking is definitely our main priority. And then social media is kind of, because, pretty much social media itself is a full-time job, and I'm doing the SEO and the social media. I kind of dedicate my weekends to social media, but it's not really a primary target right now for us. A lot of backlinking more than anything. Yeah. Gotcha. So I want to backtrack a little bit. I know we had mentioned a little bit about seeing these vape products at mall kiosks back in the day. How important would you say in-person marketing is for this industry?
Very, very important, because The ones that are smoking are usually the older audience, and they don't like shopping online, and they like that face-to-face contact, and they're usually not savvy with looking up YouTube reviews or going on forums and seeing what's a good product. So if you can really be able to just say, hey, especially in person too, you can show them the size of the product, what to expect when using it. You can pretty much give them a tutorial right then and there, and they can find exactly what they want compared to searching the web.
Right. So now to ask probably the most quintessential question of 2020, how has coronavirus impacted this?
Surprisingly enough, it's actually, at least our online presence, it's helped a lot as far as sales. I think April was our second highest month this year because all the shops closed down, so they had to resort to going online, and that's where we were able to definitely capitalize. And I'm thinking that's just going to be more, it's going to just compound because they've seen that you can pay a lower price if you have a little more patience and wait a couple of days for your stuff. You still get the same thing, but get it far cheaper. And you don't even have to drive.
Right.
But, some people do like going to their favorite shop. So.
Right. And trying out the products before they buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So say you're a brand new vape company trying to get your name out there. What are the foundational moves to make in terms of getting your marketing engine going?
I would say definitely use all the free marketing channels you have, like all the social media and stuff, and definitely having competitive pricing. I mean, there's so many, we're all selling the same thing essentially, and it's who can have competitive pricing and who has the highest catalog or the largest catalog. So if you can provide, a variety, then that's probably your best bet. And using affiliate marketing, affiliate has been huge for us. We use Share a Sale, and it's helped tremendously because we have that competitive pricing, and you're using affiliates. They're going to put you up on their page, and that's just going to get people to start clicking.
Gotcha. And you mentioned how a big pull that you try to push at is getting people to switch from smoking cigarettes to vape products. What are some of the ways you've been able to do this? Is it mostly just go ahead.
So for myself, I'll be driving my car down the street and I'll see someone with their hand out the window with a cigarette. Usually I have some products on me, like a disposable, and I'll literally get out of my car and go walk over to the other lane when we hit a light and give it to them. And I have no idea if it's worked yet, but that's kind of my trying to help them out in general. But we do have like a build your own beginning page where people who transition from the cigarettes to regular vape juice, they might think they want a certain flavor, so it has everything you'll need as far as step-by-step what products you'll need, because you'll need batteries, coils, replacements, things like that. It outlines exactly what they're used for, what kind of flavors we recommend based on just a general profile of tobacco flavor or fruit flavors. And yeah, we kind of have a dedicated page for someone who's literally entirely new to vaping and need some help. It's an all-in-one hub for them.
Gotcha. So in terms of, I want to get into the marketing budget. How would you go, if you were a brand new vape company, how would you go about allocating your marketing budget?
That's a little tricky. At least for me in my position, we really don't have a budget. We're kind of just, we're taking it day by day because there's so much going on. Facebook changed their regulations this year with being able to promote ads if you're a Vice product. I would say mainly try to hold as much as you can, whatever you can sell, and then is extra, pretty much your, whatever you don't need, put that all towards backlinking, because that by far is the most valuable asset you could have for your website. Backlinking is extremely important. If you don't have a profile and you're not going to be able to go viral, which is almost never happens, you gotta invest in backlinking and SEO.
Mm-hmm. So for new companies, what are some of the major roadblocks they could expect?
Definitely, I would just say seeing traffic be nothing in the beginning. You'll hope to see something like at least one order a day or a few visitors a day. I would expect to get up to about 40 to 50 visitors before on a daily basis until you start seeing more than one order a day. People are going to be hesitant about a new site with no reviews because there's so many scams out there, especially in the vaping industry. I've heard a lot of people getting their money taken from them. So you got to you're definitely, if you're going to see people come to you, but be a little more hesitant, kind of window shop a little bit.
Yeah. So how much would you say you have to dedicate your time towards just reading fine print with all these new regulations? Is that just like an everyday task?
For myself, no. But it's not a requirement. I just do it just so I have more knowledge myself. But it's really not that much time. I mean, there doesn't seem to be much fine print in all these laws they're putting out. I've never read the PMTA because it's usually like a good. It's over a couple thousand pages from what I understand. Like an absurd amount of documentation. I am not even gonna begin to read that. So that's why I wasn't able to tell you about what hardware is required, the requirements of hardware. Generally, I'll just read about what California is expecting fine print and loss of revenue for the state, and as far as taxes. But I wouldn't say it's more than like a half hour a day at the most. I kind of because there's so much work to do. Other than that, you can't get caught up in the details. You just got to keep moving.
Gotcha. Yeah, 1,000 pages of fine print. That sounds like a headache right there. Ugh.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Jason, we got time for a couple more questions. Big thing I've seen with vape brands is they've been able to build communities in the vape culture. That's just my observation. You've got like Juul. I can't name a few of the other companies. Totally Wicked is one. There's a bunch of them out there, and it seems like they've done a lot of cool things to build communities. I think the best example of this is when you see these vape competitions. So if you're just starting out as a new vape company, what are some ways you can go about building a community around your brand?
That's a good question. Something I've actually been working on for a while. Kind of having your own reward system, because the competitive like competition, I guess you call them vape competitions, blowing the biggest cloud. That was kind of based on when it was a hobby and you could build your own vape, like your own mod, and do everything yourself. So your knowledge would help you win that contest, where now people just want to be able to use it without building their own stuff and putting in the extra effort. And along with all the regulations. So I would say having like reward system within your business or within your website or your store. Definitely being engaged with newsletters, kind of putting out general news about what's going on in your industry. Because people do like to be informed sometimes, and the ones that do, and you want those to be lifelong customers. So right
so
now
that's a
question. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's a question that I think about almost every day, trying to be more engaging with our customer base.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering on just like a product level, it seems like the big lure of these vape products is just who can blow the biggest cloud. Do you think that's just like maybe the foundational aspect of marketing these products, is just create a product that can just make an enormous cloud?
That was the case. About 4 or 5 years ago. Now, I would say that's almost irrelevant now. Nobody really does that at all. I think it's just right now the industry in the past about 6 or 7 months has been who has the best disposable, and it seems all those products are coming full circle and they're turning back into those big cloud production vapes. But right now that's pretty much how it's going, just full circle. I think it might come back, but I doubt it.
Interesting. So, Jason, we've got time for one more question here. I'm hoping I can get some parting words of wisdom from you. So, if you're talking to people and advising them on conducting marketing in an industry where there's unfortunately a decent amount of stigma in it, how would you go about navigating these challenges?
Definitely put yourself out there and be transparent. Address the stigmas and also address the positives that come out of it. And reassure people of what they're getting themselves into and what they're purchasing.
Mm-hmm. And just kind of helping them, guiding them to making the right choices, and just making sure you're very transparent, I think, is probably the biggest thing to go into here. That would be my guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So, Jason, that should about do it. That should do it for this episode. I really appreciate you chatting with me. This was a really interesting talk. To be honest, I didn't really know anything about the vaping industry before now, but I really appreciate you chatting with me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so you are listening to an episode of This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association, and as always, powered by WS Radio. And we'll see you next time.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.